Boom, boom, boom. Hello, boys and girls. Happy fucking Friday. I'd like to wish a good afternoon to everybody out there in Facebook land, Twitter land, Twitch land. That's all the places where we're streaming right now. Oh, and YouTube land. Welcome to my shit show. I pressed the button. I decided to go live. I really don't even know how long I'm going to do this or what I'm going to talk about. Actually, I do know what I'm going to talk about. I want to talk about Project 2025. If you guys haven't been living in a cave, you've been on the internet and you've seen that there's just a whole lot of hurrah going on right now about some shit called Project 2025. And I don't know if you've paid any attention to it, but there's a meme out there. Let's see if I can just find the meme. I could always just use visual tools. Let's see what we come up with. Let's type in Project 2025. Project 2025. Oh man, good lord! There's 9 people here. I'm looking for the original meme that set all this shit off because we're all talking about Project 2025 and Donald Trump. Listen, before we even get started, I can't stand the government. I don't know how many times I got to say this shit, how many times I have to reiterate it. At least once a day, I have someone calling me a lefty or a righty or some other shit that I'm not, okay? What I am is a common sense possessing citizen of the United States of America. I love my country. I love my neighbors. I love my communities. I cannot stand the people who run this shit show. Okay, there's lots of reasons why I can't stand them. I'm not going to get into it. I'm just going to say that before I get started on this because I am not a Trump supporter and I am not a Biden supporter. I'm not a Republican supporter. I'm not a Democrat supporter. Every fucking subject that comes across my desk gets a different opinion. Okay, I am pro-choice, not just for abortion, but for life in general. As far as I'm concerned, I like to take the libertarian approach where if you're not hurting anybody financially or physically, then you're not committing a crime or bothering anybody, so I should fuck off. And I think that the real problem comes in humanity and governments when we start trying to instill our will on everybody else about every obnoxious ass thing that we don't like. I'm a firm believer that if you don't like something, you just don't participate in it. If I don't like abortions, guess what? I just don't have any. If I don't like guns, then I don't buy any. If I don't like, whatever the deal may be, I just don't participate in it. I'm not in charge of anybody else's moral standing. I don't give a fuck what you do, as long as you're not hurting anyone else physically or financially. Okay? Physically would be murder, assault, things like that. Financially would be stealing, robbery, theft of property, things like that. It's that easy. I don't understand. Now, there's a lot of ins and outs when it comes to government, like taxes and fucking fine tooth and like how we keep our communities going and how do we keep our infrastructure going. And I think that the government could be great at those things if they weren't so intrusive and if there was accountability with spending and then we actually had a real idea of what our tax money was spent on. I would be great. I would love to do those things, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. Does everybody in the class understand that I don't like the government? Like that there are no candidates that I find suitable. So I'm just saying this so that before we start the argument, we can throw out the whole thing. But Trump is this, but Biden is that. I don't want to do that anymore. And that's the thing that drives me crazy. I don't know why you guys want to do it still. We did that shit 4 years ago. We did that shit 8 years ago. We did that shit 12 years ago. We keep going with the lesser evil. And every time we're giving the options, they're more evil. So like a few years ago, the politicians didn't feel nearly as shady as they feel today. But today we have de-evolved into such a slippery slope that we literally have 2 piles of shit to pick from now. And this is the shit that I don't want to do anymore. I just don't want to repeat these cycles. Am I saying that I don't want any government? No, I'm not saying that. mostly I'm not saying that just because people panic and they're like, well, what would we do without government? My roads, my schools, my how community didn't exist before government. There's no way that people existed on this planet without someone organizing and telling them what they couldn't and couldn't do. The whole world would go crazy. Warlords would run the show. Corporations would poison our water. All this shit is already happening. Our water is poisoned. Our food is disgusting. The FDA doesn't care about us. The regulatory commissions have abandoned us. They literally are only around anymore just to pick the winners and losers of any given industry. I could show this to you on every regulatory commission out there. And I'm drifting off, but what I want to talk about is Project 2025 and why it aggravates me. And it doesn't aggravate me for the same reason it probably aggravates you, because you probably think either that it's the end of the world, that it's like the right-wing Death Star that the conservatives are talking about building. First of all, Project 2025 is exactly that. It is a conservative manifesto. Okay, just like every other fucking manifesto out there, it outlines the goals and wishes of the conservatives that wrote the fucking manifesto. 920 pages of right-wing propaganda. And it's not even so right-wing that it's like, like that far right-wing, like little mustache right-wing, but it's like right-wing, shit you expect to find in conservative handbooks, like shit like religion and how to get rid of abortion and all this shit. But the thing that really strikes me odd is that nobody's actually read this shit. 99% of the people out there talking about it on the internet are just talking about how Project 2025 wants to make you a breeding stock, or it wants to remove civil rights and liberties, how it wants to tax the people even more, and all this stuff. And, goddamn, man, like, I don't like the conservatives, okay? I don't like the conservatives. I already said that. I don't like the Republicans or the conservatives because they try to just ride one box down the line. Their opinion doesn't vary. What does God think? That's how conservatives get down. I'm not really like that because I'm not in a religious box. I don't want Bibles in schools. I don't want kids being taught religion outside of like kids who volunteer for theology classes or shit like that. I don't feel like any of that shit should be rammed down our children's throats. The same way I don't think that fucking sexuality and gender issues should be rammed down our children's throats. So I think the liberals and the conservatives are both the most fucktarded fucking sects of our fucking political entities. And here we are arguing about them every fucking day. And it just drives me nuts because, like, I see the cycles. I mean, I have plenty of reasons why you shouldn't vote for either of these fucking guys or either of these parties. And that there's so many people out there that have literally been emotionally and fucking manipulated, mentally and emotionally manipulated into believing that the other side gets control, then it's the end for all of us as we know it. Aren't you getting tired of that, dude? How many times can you hear in your life that this is the most important election of all times? Project 2025 is bullshit. Okay, it's a manifesto written by the Conservative Party about how they want to fucking get all conservatives in the government. The same way that the lefties want to get all lefties in the government, because they all pretend that if they could just get control of the government, that they could fix everything that's wrong with the country. The problem is everybody has different opinions about what's wrong with the country. And that's fair. You're supposed to, because everybody has their own minds and their own fucking ideas. That's why I think that my theory works the best, or my approach. If it isn't hurting me, I don't care. I don't care what someone else is doing. I don't care if conservatives in their family are forcing their children to pray every day. It sucks. Sucks for the kid that's how he's got to get raised, but that's not my business. And those are their kids to raise as they see fit. I also don't care that there's gay couples raising children that might have an influence on them, or maybe the righties all think that they're teaching them to be gay. Dude, we take these extremists from both ends and they're fucking nuts. And here's the thing that I worry about. I realize I haven't been too talkative about the 2025 thing, mostly because I feel like all of what you're reading out there is propaganda. Like, I asked people all over, what pages out of the 920 pages are the scary ones? Give me the scary pages, because I am not reading 920 pages of conservative bullshit, okay? So if someone out there who's so passionate about 2025 and how it's the end of the world could just share exactly what pages I need to go to that tell me exactly what's in the plan, then I'll go there and I'll read that, and then I'll condemn that shit afterwards. But until then, your memes and your little Project 2025 looks to make birth control illegal and make everyone have every baby that they've ever been pregnant with. Like, until you can show me page 626 says this shit, I don't believe you, dude, because the news and the people in charge are taking this and they're running with it to scare you. And they're looking to scare you into what seems like at surface value, to vote for the Democrats. But that's not what they want. They don't really care about your votes, people. And I guess here's where it gets deep. The voting doesn't matter. The voting is just a byproduct. That's all a song and dance. Here's what they really want. They want you to hate somebody. They don't care who. They just want you to hate somebody, because they want the American public divided. You know why they want us divided? Because they don't ever want us to talk about other alternatives. And as long as we're busy hating our neighbors who we have so much in common with, all right, even if your religion and your opinions are entirely different and you feel like you're from a different culture altogether, you still have more in common with that person than you do that politician that's pretending to care about your values. That's the kicker. That's the caveat. They don't care about your vote. It's really less about votes. I know it seems like propaganda aimed at making you vote a particular way, but I assure you that is not the goal. The goal is to make you hate somebody. And I would say that it's working perfectly. Everybody's upset. There isn't one group of politically based people who are happy with the current political environment. There's not one group. The lefties are mad. The righties are mad. The liberals are mad. The conservatives are mad. The capitalists are mad. The communists are mad. Everybody's mad. And that is by design. That is entirely by design, and that is the entire focus of this media. They don't feed you things to make you happy anymore. They feed you things to get mad, because we flock to that shit. And it's our own fault. And I always say this, what we allow is what will continue. We are the fucking deciding factor in all of this, people. The way that the entire system was supposed to be developed is that we, the people, have the power. Okay? We are the ones spending money. We are the ones going to work. We are the cogs that make the wheel turn. Chad Williams drives me nuts, but he brings up a good point. We are the labor. We are the power cell behind everything that happens. The elite cannot exist and thrive without us, and they know this. The only reason they are elite is because we have made them so. And we have been manipulated till this point. All I want everybody to do is to stop allowing yourself to be manipulated. Instead of believing everything that you see initially and just running off to the races with it and going and telling Joe Blow on social media your opinion about it, how about you do a little research? I know some people get mad at me when I say this. People aren't bright. They don't do their own research. I know, man. That's why I keep telling them to do it. Because I feel like if you just go out there and you read a little bit, you're going to get, one, smarter, incidentally, just by reading, okay? Two, you're going to clear up any ideas or misconceptions that you might have about that particular subject. You'll actually know maybe a little bit what you're talking about. Now, the problem with absolutely knowing what's going on is you got to remember that the internet is filled with lies. Almost everything you read is an opinion piece, okay? So you got to remember that you got to separate the opinion from the facts. And the facts are very hard to find. They're very hard to find, okay? But if you look, you can find them. And then you can develop your mind to be strong and independent and a little better equipped to deal with the shit that we're being thrown, okay? Because what we're being thrown is propaganda. Almost 100% of it is propaganda. And it's, again, it looks like it's aimed to make you vote a particular way, but that's not. I assure you that's not what's going on. The American government works as a whole. If you go back and you look at the history of the United States, all of the big deals, all of the big laws and big bills and big amendments, they all were bipartisan. They were all cooperative, okay? Meaning Republicans and Democrats came together and voted this across the board. Enough, you know? There might be some song and dance and some voting going on in there that make it look like they didn't. But the truth of the matter is that that's exactly what happened. It was bipartisan. All the big things, Patriot Act, Federal Reserve Act, things like that. You have to look at it and remember that that's exactly how all that shit went down. It wasn't a Republican thing that happened. It wasn't a Democrat thing that happened. The United States government cooperated with that and made that happen. The CARES Act, the stimulus bills that just went down. The last 4 or 5 years of our life, we have never seen more government corruption than we've seen going on right in front of our faces. And people aren't arguing with each other about how to fix the corruption. They aren't arguing with each other about how to avoid this stuff in the future. What they're arguing about is which piece of shit they like more. And I got to be honest, that shit makes me furious. It ruins my day, man, to see people that I even think of as smart and admire arguing about presidential candidates and about politicians that are going to elect. There's a million things that drive me crazy. It drives me crazy that during the presidential election, when your vote means the absolute least, the line is around the corner for votes, to vote for president, to go put your say in. But then when you go to midterms, when you're voting on tax rates, your judges, your lawyers, things like that, nobody's fucking there. You can walk right in there. The things that you could vote on that really make a difference in your community and locally, you're not there voting on. You're only voting in the popular vote, in the American Idol section. You're only voting for the top talent, for the popular vote. They even tell us it's the popular vote. Nobody's offended. Nobody's offended. And this is where I'm at. So then every day I get on here and I make a post and I'm always ridiculing Donald Trump or Joe Biden. And no matter what, when I put that on there, when I make a post about Trump, someone's like, oh, he's just not like the other politicians. You don't know shit, you fucking stupid lefty. And then whenever I post some shit about Biden or about how Project 2025 is all fear slinging and propaganda being thrown your direction to sway your mind or to make you mad, everybody's mad at me. The thing about it is, a couple of years ago, I was showing you all kinds of things that were going on that I wanted you to look at. And you told me I was just a tinfoil hat wearer. Dude, I still harbor a lot of anger and resentment to the American public for the way that you behaved during the coronavirus epidemic. I was, after becoming and doing everything that I needed to do to be an established member of the community, and I'll even go so far as to say a community leader, I was told that I didn't care about the community and that I was trying to kill grandma because I was speaking out against shutdowns, lockdowns, vaccines, things like that. I was questioning things. You remember that, guys? I remember that. It hurt my feelings, and it made me not trust you. It made me scared of you because really quickly, most of the American public turned on each other that fast, man. That fast. And they did it all with just news. They told us to go inside and we did it. No one complained. No one said no. I didn't see stories about business owners who were like, yeah, fuck you, I'm not closing. None of what you're saying makes sense. Oh, it lives on the surfaces for 30 days, so Pizza Hut can stay open, but my mom and pop restaurant has to close. That makes perfect sense. Nobody questioned it. But if you see something from a mainstream news source, you run off with that shit. I remember, and I'm still pissed off about it. And I got to be honest, it's the reason why I don't do this every fucking day. And I'll tell you why, because I feel like I'm wasting my time. But then something happens. I go on the internet and I see someone that I've talked to for years who've been defending one party or the other, and I see them start to say the same things that I'm saying, and then I feel like maybe I am making a little headway. So I'm not here to talk to the people who are staunchly Republican or staunchly Democrat. I don't want to talk to you guys. You guys have already made up your mind. You're lunatics. You're crazy. I can't talk to you. You're dead set. Your indoctrination is complete, okay? I hope that you snap out of it, but I also know that there's really no point in me talking to you. The people that I want to talk to are the sensible, like-minded Americans who, for the most part, just want to be left alone to make a living, to raise their families, and to live their lives. Because that's what all of us globally want, man. That's what humans unilaterally want. Okay, they want to exist, man. We don't want to struggle for everything, but we will. And even when we're struggling for everything, we're fine. But man, they have us in an irritated state right now, and things are getting dangerous. And when I say that things are getting dangerous, here's what I mean. Something has to be done about our current status, okay? And the problem is that normal people are standing by and they're letting it happen because we're caught up in the day-to-day activities of our life. We're trying to make ends meet. We're trying to pay our bills. We're trying to enjoy our lives. So we're not doing anything about it. And we're like, it doesn't matter. We hear a lot of shit. Well, we can't do anything about it anyway, or this is just the way it is. And the problem is that as this void grows, where we know that something needs to be put to fix the ship, okay? If the normal people don't stand up and do something about it, then the extremists are going to. And when I say extremists, I'm not talking about the right wing or the left wing. I'm talking about both of those groups of people. Those are going to be the people who feel passionately enough about something to stand up and do something. And when they do, it's going to be crazy shit. And do you want to be led around by those people? I don't. I think that it's time for the sensible people to take over. I think it's time for us to all stand up unilaterally and say, we're tired of this shit. We're tired of this shit. And enough of us do it. And if enough of us do it and participate, it will change. I try to tell people this all the time because, like, if you're sick of price raising, stop buying the shit. It's that easy. If enough of us stop, like, let's just use McDonald's as an example. McDonald's keeps raising their prices. I saw someone complain about the price of McDonald's. They still bought the shit. In a free market, the way that it's supposed to work is our money is the manipulation tool. If you see a business like fucking McDonald's or DoorDash or Uber Eats that are doing things like fluctuating their pricing during demanding hours or raising their prices unfairly while not giving a new wage to their workers or labor, then what you do is you stop shopping there. If everybody did that for a month, let's just say 10% of the American population that shops at McDonald's stopped shopping at McDonald's, McDonald's would see a fluctuation in their profit. They would see the profit numbers go, and they'd be like, yo, what the fuck? And then when they went to the think tanks and they were like, yo, why are people, what's going on? Why are our profits down? And then they would go, oh, well, because people aren't really fond of the price raises. You didn't give your workers any raises, and they're tired of your corporatism, and they're tired of you conducting business the way you conduct it. Then McDonald's would go, oh, fuck. And they would change their business practices. I know it sounds like magic, right? It is. And it's real and it works. That's why I would like to figure out a way to start a grassroots movement of like-minded, sensible people. Not people who are coming together because, like, oh, you're the same color as me or you're the same religion as me, but because, like, you're human like me and we need to work together to fix this shit. And if we work together as humans and the mass population gets together, no one can stop us. No, literally no one. Nobody could stop that. If there was a true grassroots movement of like-minded citizens who band together to make things happen, no one could stop that. I'm a dreamer. I know, man. I know there's a lot of people out there that are saying, it'll never happen, you know, this and that and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is that how would you know if you don't try? And what are you waiting for? How long? Like, I'm 48 years old, dude. Like, I'm closer to dead than I've ever been. Am I going to be okay? I am going to be just fine. What do I got left? 20 years, 25 years? I'm going to be fine, man. I could just ride this out. But I have a 1-week-old baby in the other room, and I care about her future. I care about the world that I'm leaving behind for my children. Matter of fact, there she is. There's that 1-week-old baby that I'm talking about. This is why I feel like I can't keep my mouth shut. Okay? I have other children that are here. I don't want them to have a hard time. I don't want them to struggle through life. I don't want them to be ruled by people who don't give a shit about us, who sold us out to corporations. And I don't want the extremists changing things up for them either. Are you a like-minded, sensible? Are you just a sensible person? If you are, then you know that this is too much, man. Enough is enough. Donald Trump is not a suitable leader for the United States of America. Joe Biden is not a suitable leader for the United States of America. I'm not going to go through the reasons why. We all know the reasons why. We know in our heart of hearts that these are not appropriate leaders. Okay, we all know. I'm not doing the lesser evil thing. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't want to participate in political arguments. I don't want to do that because what I want to talk about is how we fix it. Honestly, I get sucked into so many arguments with people where I'm trying to explain to them why their candidate ain't shit either. And it ends up, they suck me in, man. It's almost impossible to get out of. It's like a vortex, a black hole, a fucking whirlpool, sucking me into these political fucking arguments that I want nothing to fucking do with. No, I'm not a righty. No, I'm not a lefty. I'm a human being. I've seen some shit. I don't know anything. Do I know how to fix it? No, I don't know how to fix it. But I know that we can't continue on the path that we're on. I know that. So I know that someone has to stop. Someone has to look around and go, how do we fix this shit? And until we stop playing along and start uniting in large numbers and asking ourselves serious questions, how do we fix this? And then the ideas start to flow. How can we work together to make this world a better place for everybody? Not just for me, for everybody. You know, you realize that if you make your neighbor's life better, that your life gets better too. I need people to understand this. We got a lot of people out there that are just selfish as fuck, and the world has raised you to be that way. And I understand. I'm selfish in some aspects too, but I also know that I can't go anywhere by myself. All right? The only way that the world's going to get better is if we do it together. I don't know if any of this shit's making sense, and I'm not trying to make like a, you know, like some sort of, this is just me speaking from the heart to you, because I don't want to argue about Donald Trump or Joe Biden. I don't want to do that anymore. All right? That's a nonsense argument. It's nonsense. I want to start asking, how do we fix it? Like, realistically, how can we fix it? What can we do as people to right this ship? I'm open to ideas. I'm open to suggestions. I'm open on facilitating these meetings. I'm open on starting a new group of people. I don't want to be the leader. I don't want to be the leader at all. All right. But I want to be part of it. And if I could help start the movement, then great. Awesome. I don't have all the answers. Nobody does. But I do know, again, that we cannot keep down this path. And if we do, then our sons and our daughters are in trouble. So if you don't like fascism and corporatism, and if you don't like, being forced to do things that you don't want to do, then it's time for you to jump on board and start having conversations with people about how we fix this. Stop losing friends over political arguments, especially over political arguments about Joe Biden and Donald Trump. For God's sake, these people wouldn't piss on you if you were on fire. If they walked past you in the street, you would be a peasant to these people. We argue furiously with each other over it, and we lose friends. We have fights and arguments. Everybody just wants to be right. They just want to win. They just want to be like, no, I told you so. That doesn't work. It's old. It's played out. How can we fix it? That's the question we should be asking. Where the fuck do we go from here, and how do we fix this? We can fix this. We can. Call me a dreamer all you want, man. We can fix this. We have to try something different, though. We can't keep doing the same shit and expecting different results. That's fucking insanity. That's redundant. It's cyclical. I read the comments and I see the questions, and yeah, it feels unsurmountable. It feels impossible. It really does. But so does every problem out there until you start to address it. Again, I don't have the answers. I just know that this isn't working. I know that the American public is getting fucked. I know that the politicians are the only ones that seem to be doing any good here. Their portfolios are raging while ours are going down, man. I understand that I'm not talking about like that utopia isn't probably possible, and that's not a magical land where everybody has everything they need and we all work together in harmony. I'm a realist, but I do know that if we come together and we can put aside our petty ass differences, that we can make a change. So when you're ready to stop arguing about politics, and you're ready to stop arguing about politicians and which piece of shit smells a little bit better than the other piece of shit, then hit me up. Hit me up, man, and let's start think tanking about how we can really fix this. Like, where do we go from here? How do we set up a meeting? Do we start a group? Do we meet at the park and we say, hey, we're going to have a meeting at the park. Maybe we're not even going to come together and talk about anything. Maybe we're just going to come together. Maybe that's the first step, is coming together. Because you can't fix this shit overnight. It's not going to be fixed overnight. It can be fixed in your lifetime, Roxy. The thing is, we've been indoctrinated to believe that we can't do anything about it. That's fucked up. And we 100% can do some shit about it. Greg, I 100% agree with you. That was the entire reason why I started doing cleanups with Only in Lime, was because I wanted to show that we didn't need the government's help to finish it. We didn't need the government's help for everything. That if we want a cleaner community, we just get out there ourselves and clean up the community. That shit was working. Everything was going great, man. I feel like we were really building something until COVID happened, until it became illegal to do these things anymore. And that shit crushes me because it took the wind right out of my sails, man. I only had to be yelled at by a couple of people that I was like a fucking crazy tinfoil conspiracist who doesn't care about grandma. You know, it didn't take a whole lot of that for me to get sick of it. There are ways to get this right, John. And I don't know where to go from here. I don't know what to start. I don't know what to do, but I know that we need to fix this. And I know that we need to do it together. That's the only way that it works, man. We have to have unity and we have to have numbers because that is the real power of the people. We, the people, we forgot that shit. We were taught that shit our whole lives growing up, man. In school, we were taught these brave, patriotic stories about the founding fathers. And sure, as we aged, we learned that those guys were pieces of shit too. And there's a lot of fucked up shit going on in our early American history. But that's not the point. The point is that the story holds true. That rebellion makes change. And rebellion doesn't have to be violent. It just has to be there and present. And it starts on a local level. And it really is power to the people. That's the shit I want to talk about. I do not want to engage in public conversation about fucking politics. I'm going to. I know it's going to happen. But that's what my goal is. And my goal would be to get more people to stop having political conversations. Like, dude, I feel ridiculous. I feel like a straight up clown when I'm arguing about politicians. Because I'm arguing about one while incidentally defending the other. I don't want to do that. They're all garbage. Bottom line. Let's just agree. That's where we just agree on that. They're all garbage. We've been sold out. We know this. So where do we go from here? Because I know that we're not going to get the elected officials to vote against their own best interest. So it feels like politically we're kind of fucked in that aspect. So we have to start something new. We have to get people on board with it. We have to say it in ways that the common people understand, that the common sense kicks in and they say, you know what, this guy's right. He doesn't have the answers, but maybe if we all come together and we talk about it, and maybe we just show up in numbers, we'll start getting more savory responses. We'll stop being told that that's just the way it is, and maybe people will actually start working on things. I have a million things that I could spot off right off the top of my head that could influence and alter the course of the current government, but you're never going to get them to vote yes for that shit. It's not about, I'm not talking about politics, Dennis. What we're talking about today is how we can fix it. Because we've had enough of the political conversations and they've gone nowhere, right? So how do we fix it? How do we fix this shit? I mean, we stop participating in it. That's step one. Stop participating. Stop playing along. All right? Stop letting the media get you so upset about shit that you can't do a goddamn thing about. You're right. We are unable to change the current political stance, but we are able to make a new one. Maybe we are able to influence it with enough people and with our money and our dollars, tax dollars or spending dollars. The way that capitalism works is that the money decides who wins. Not regulatory commissions, not governments. Dennis, I'll ask you, where in the fuck can you go that there isn't politics these days? I can't go anywhere. I start to read about sports. What do I run into? Politics. Because they want you to hate somebody. I don't want to hate anybody. You know what I want to do? I want to love somebody. I want to love people. It feels good to be loved. It feels good to give love. Doesn't it? I know I like it. I know I'd rather be loved than hated. I'd rather whoever's doing it be honest about what they're doing, though. I know that. Well, I don't know, but that's what I have for today. Today is Friday, though. And thank you very much. Oh, I also want to be a scratch golfer. I'd love to be a scratch golfer. That would be the bee's knees. So, you know. But with that being said, man, I want to wish everybody a happy Friday. It's Friday. I hope that you got a weekend ahead of you where you can do exactly what you want to do. And I hope that the rest of the day is fantastic for you, even if you're only watching this because you don't like me or because you think I'm batshit crazy. I hope you have a good day too, because if you have a good day, I'm probably more prone to have a good day because you won't, maybe if you have a good day, you might use your blinker or stay off your cell phone while you're driving or not drive 70 miles an hour down Highway Z attempting to kill me and my family. I don't know. But I hope you get what you need. And I hope that this conversation or these 35 minutes, if you listen to it, made a little bit of sense and that maybe, just maybe, you'll stop playing along. Maybe you'll go out there and maybe just for one day you won't have any political arguments, So that being said, I'm going to get off here. I love you all, and I hope that you have a fantastic day, and that if any challenges you face, you conquer. Toodaloo, motherfuckers.